Not surprised. No. Okay, that makes sense.
Hey guys, what's up? This is What the Tech, and today we're going to be checking out exactly what happened here. In particular, we're going to be looking at Apple and their relationship with Siri and your personal privacy. We're going to be looking at 3 things in total. What happened, why it happened, and where we are now moving forward. Okay, so after wasting about a minute of your guys' time with that little intro skit, let's just get right into it. In the last month, we've been inundated with the uncomfortable truth, I'm pretty sure a lot of us already knew, that the big tech companies, those that have smart assistants, have been recording almost everything. This ranges from Amazon's Alexa, Google's Home Assistant, and very pro-privacy Apple's Siri. To delve into specifics here, for the last two, both Apple and Google were actually transcribing your queries to their individual smart assistants and holding them in order to advance their research. What's worrying about the former two, at least, Apple and Google, is that it wasn't their actual employees that did this, but third-party contractors that were hired by them in order to transcribe what they heard. Amazon, on the other hand, they just straight up recorded what you said, and they're holding it pretty much indefinitely. Now, the fact is, for these cases, it is indicated in the end-user license in order to use these softwares that they are within their right to use this data as they please. What makes it murky, however, for Google and Apple is that it never clearly states, or at least is purposely vague and murky enough, that third-party contractors will use it and not actual employees. When looking at Apple's iOS license agreement, it does say that right here pretty clearly, but it doesn't necessarily say transcribed by third parties, contracted by Apple, just that it may be used to further enhance the service. So if you haven't figured out by now, let's ask, why did Apple do this? Of course, if you're up to date on tech news, you may have read some articles as well as seen some videos already that address this particular subject, and they seem to go along the same line, and I agree with it as well. It's pretty clear that AI still needs to be verified by humans. It takes human verification to make smart assistants better in order to push them forward. Everybody in this space does it, from Apple to Google to Amazon, presumably Samsung as well, with their Bixby, if anyone ever used it. And it pretty much stems from you can't have a computer audit a computer. This task of transcribing Siri queries is so magnificently mundane that, well, according to the Irish Examiner, these contractors were expected to go over roughly 1,000 Siri recordings each day and grade them. So where are we today? Well, at the recording of this, Apple has already publicly apologized and released a public statement on the matter. I wanted to focus this video on Apple, not just because that it's more likely to get more clicks because the name Apple's in it, but also because this breach of trust, this revelation, exposes Apple in a way that's different from Google and Amazon. That's because Apple pivots privacy and security, in this issue, privacy, as a key differentiating factor of their devices versus the others. So when this all came out, when it was exposed by whistleblowers, of course, Apple was caught with its hands down because they were saying one thing while doing the other. So moving forward, the program has been suspended and all those contracted have been let go. However, it's indicated that they could be hired again. Apple plans on resuming the grading of Siri recordings under a new set of rules that falls in line more or less with Apple's philosophy on privacy. By default, recordings of Siri interactions will use computer-generated transcript to help Siri improve. Secondly, and I think probably most importantly that everyone should applaud Apple for actually, is that by default now, customers will now be in a default opt-out position for Siri recordings. Apple will now ask you via software, most likely in the next big software update like iOS 13, if you actually want to send in your data to help push forward Siri advancement. And thirdly, only Apple employees will now see the Siri recordings that are sent in. Anything that is determined to be inadvertent hailing of Siri, they'll just kick it away. I suppose the third point is important to them personally, or important to Apple internally, because then they get to pivot, or they get to stress the fact that only Apple employees see their data, and they're hoping that customers can trust Apple with their huge caringness towards privacy. Of course, I think personally it's just splitting hairs on who gets to see your data, whether they're employed by Apple, contracted by Apple. But again, the big thing here is that you are now in a default opt-out. and they have to ask you if you want to send in your data. That is something that the rest of the industry should copy, should follow, and you gotta applaud them for that. So what does this mean? What can we actually take away from this? Well, it means Apple's actually serious about privacy. And when it came time for them to react to this hullabaloo, they reacted the right way. Of course, it is unfortunate that it required a huge whistleblowing issue in order to get them to do this. If they weren't caught out on it, if other companies weren't caught, would Apple just continue this? I bet yes. But we're here now, and it's great that they've done this. Interestingly enough, for you European viewers or those that care about this potentially could be a GDPR violation. Pretty similar to what's happening to Google right now. They are cooperating with the proper authorities within the EU to determine whether or not this was a violation of with GDPR regulations, and if my math is correct here, there's a potential fallout of $10 billion. Also, second note on this, although Siri or Apple's Siri moving forward is going to be the most holistic and pro-privacy smart assistant out there, they're shooting themselves in the foot here in terms of smart speaker development, in terms of smart assistant development. How many people are actually going to opt in and say yes to, yeah, I want to send my data to Siri, I want Apple to make it better. I want Apple to make a better virtual product. I may be wrong about this, but if Apple ever someday releases concrete data 2-3 years out into the future that shows that, hey, there actually was a lot of people who signed up for this, then I'll go, hey, you know what? People like them, support them, and genuinely trust them. Of course, they would need people outside of North America in significant quantities enough in order to push this development, because one of the huge issues in smart assistants is understanding regional dialects and accents, but that's for another day. Thanks for watching What the Tech, guys. If you like what you saw, don't forget to give a thumbs up. And if you learned something, that's even better. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this, and go ahead and drop down in the comments, what did you think about this ordeal? Did you think Apple made the right move, and should other companies follow suit, in particular Amazon or Google? Alright, see you in the next one. Peace.